On today's episode, we're taking Gustav's bag straight out of Expedition 33 and dragging it into reality. Stay tuned. Greetings, adventurers, and welcome to Skill Tree, where we learn how to do just about everything. So, as you saw in the forward, we are making Gustav's bag. Now, I've been playing Expedition 33, and I am obsessed with it. And the gear is beautiful. If you've been following me for some time, you know I don't usually do a lot of cosplay things on this channel, but as soon as I saw that bag on screen, I was like, I'm gonna have to make that, I think. So yeah, that's this episode. If at any point in time you feel so moved, make sure you hit that like it, love, and don't forget to subscribe because it really helps out the channel. All right, without much further ado, let's get into it. All right, so first things first, we needed to lay out some sort of a plan for how we're gonna make this thing. I figured the best way to do this was to actually take this image that the creators of the game made so cosplayers knew what the outfit looked like, which, by the way, genius. You guys are real great. It's fantastic. Anyways, I just put that into my Illustrator program and simply traced around the shape of this thing. Then I just kept making bits and pieces the way I would see it going together, expanding it all until I had a rough plan. And let me preface this by saying, at first, this was a very rough plan. You don't really ever see the bag open, you only kind of see it on the character's back. So there's a lot of room for creativity here, not only to make it look how you need it to look, but also to make something that is an actual bag. I want this to be something that's made out of great materials and works and all of that. Though I didn't trust that I did this right off the bat, so I first printed up a really small version of this so that I could cut it out and then tape it all together to make sure all of the math kind of works out. And yeah, it looked good. It's a cute little thing. Though you will notice the way this bag is constructed is very like origami, right? Rather than having a bunch of disconnected panels, most of it is all together, and I'm just planning on folding the sides in and then stitching that to the front plate to make my shape. This turned out working really well, but I don't think it would be wrong to cut separate panels too. It was just less sewing on my part. I think it was more of a laziness choice, to be honest with you. Besides, I'd never made a bag this way before, and I wanted to try it. That's what this show's about. All right, so now we have a pattern that we roughly know works. You're also gonna notice too, these little tabs here that extend past the bottom of things. This is because the way the image kind of looked to me, it looked like there was really hard edges there, not like a hidden seam or anything, especially where things overlapped each other. So I thought it would be nice to have that extra tab so it overlaps enough so that I can then sew through right there and have everything stick together. You'll see better when we're constructing it, but that's why those little tabs are there. Okay, yeah, but now we have a pattern that we're pretty sure is gonna work. So the next thing to do is to scale this up as we're gonna need it. To do that, I just kind of measured where the straps would land on the front of me, as well as kind of how long it looks like that bag is in the game. I measured the distance for the straps because that's roughly where the corners of the bag is. You know, it comes right over your shoulder right here. And then in the pictures from the game, I can see how much of his back it takes up, which is roughly kind of like your chest area here, about that much space. That's including the little bedroll that's on the top. So this is actually quite a small bag. Happy with that, I just scaled everything up and taped it together. Then roughly cut each one of those pieces free and laid it down onto some 6-ounce leather so that I can cut it out. So I decided to make this have an inner kind of stiffening leather, which is going to be that 6-ounce leather, and then an actual nicer leather that's going to be facing the world outside of that. Honestly, this is because the garment leather, which you're going to see soon, that I have to actually make this thing, is so thin that I'm afraid it wouldn't hold its shape. Using that veg tan underneath, I can ensure there's a nice rigid skeleton to this thing. Now, real quick, I did notice a detail. If you look at the flap here, it has this line that goes through it. Though I'm not completely holding myself to exactly how the game does it, because I want this thing to actually work, and sometimes they cheat on physics a little bit. I did want that, because that feels like something that could flap open, right? That feels purposeful to me. So I just took what was to be that flap, positioned my ruler right where that line would go, and actually made a really shallow cut. This is just going to give this piece a lot of flexibility so I can open it that way. It was at this point that I decided to keep working on that lid because it was small enough where if I screwed it up, I wouldn't feel too bad. I could just cut another piece. But it had enough character that I feel like if I could make this look right, the rest of the bag is going to look okay. So to that end, I'm going to start covering this in this beautiful black leather I have here. This is about 2 ounces. Garment quality, really, really nice piece. Because again, I want this to be a functional, really nice bag. So I tried my hardest to get really quality materials that you'd like in a nice bag. Speaking of quality materials, I want to send a special thank you to Nola Mattress for sponsoring this video. Head to nolamattress.com/skilltree and use my code SKILLTREE at checkout to get $50 off your NOLA mattress purchase. Plus, if you do, you can also get 2 free pillows with select purchases, which is awesome. NOLA is an award-winning mattress brand known for its cooling technology, pressure relief, long-lasting durability, and the fact that it just gets delivered right to your door, which is great. All you do is pop online, select exactly what you're looking for, and then soon it's delivered in a fetching little box. And this was by far the easiest mattress I ever set up. I just kind of unwrapped the whole thing, and it immediately just inflated like magic, becoming the softest, most luxurious mattress I think I've ever actually slept on. Seriously, I got this for the guest room in my mom's house because that's where I sleep when I visit. And after I slept there a few nights, I'm real mad I didn't just put it here. I have a mild case of sleep apnea, so if I sleep on my back, I can't sleep. So I always sleep on my side, which ends up hurting. I didn't have that problem with this mattress. It was super comfortable. But if you're not sure, you don't have to worry. They give you 120 nights of sleep to decide if you like it or not. And they also have like a limited lifetime warranty and financing options and all that kind of stuff. Anyways, I love my NOLA mattress and I think you will too. So if you're looking to upgrade your sleep, just head to nolamattress.com/skilltree and use my code SKILLTREE at checkout to get your $50 off your new mattress and 2 free pillows with select mattresses. Also, this is like an additional discount to whatever's being currently offered on the site too, so make sure you jump on and see if you can stack those deals. Okay, so back to this flap here. This part has the most character because it almost looks like it's made out of a bunch of scrap pieces of leather. So in order to mirror this, I just cut a bunch of strips of leather and laid them out so that they would overlap each other in the design that it shows in the game. You want to make sure they're big enough so that we can then curl over the edges like so to really make it look nice and finished. I just used a bit of double-sided Tanner's Bond tape to hold that fold in place and then continued to use it as I layered each one of these strips of leather where they need to go. Then it was off to the sewing machine just to lock everything into place. And that, honestly, it looks a lot like the game one, right? That's pretty good. I even tried to get the spacing right. I think it looks pretty close. And that little flap does flip. It does the thing I want it to do. You get me. Now, I could have just dyed the Vetchan inside black, but again, if you look in really nice bags, a lot of them are lined with a material. And I just so happen to have this material left over from when I did my little musketeer jacket here. I just simply used that flap as my template, cutting a little bit beyond it just so I was sure everything would fit correctly. Then again added some double-sided tape to it so I can position the fabric where it would go and just kind of make sure the whole thing was nice and tight. Happy with its tautness. I'm gonna go with tautness. I was gonna sew those edges in, but I introduced a new problem here because now I have something that has a fabric edge, right, is gonna fray and all that. So I really wanted to make that clean and finished. Not only that, but the game one seems to have a nice kind of finished rim around it. So to do that, I just cut this inch-wide strip of leather, which I used tape to kind of stick around the edges here, before actually taking it to the sewing machine and sewing along it, locking everything in place. This makes it look so much more clean. This is great. Like that looks like a professional piece. I mean, it's just a piece, like a flap of leather, but it still looks good. Oh, just as a heads up, because I'm bad at my job and I didn't catch it on camera, but what I did was I sewed it till it got just about to the corner, and then I bent it over itself, and where it made kind of a little triangle where the leather bends against itself, I just snipped it. I just simply snipped where that would happen and let it overlap each other. That's all. It was easy. But doing that flap first taught me a lot of valuable lessons. Like I now know how this leather reacts and how that fabric kind of likes to slip around on me while I'm doing stuff. Something to remember. So armed with that, I just carried on making more stuff. Next up came the body here, which again I used as a template to cut out the black leather that'll go on the back of it. Though this does have a fun detail in it too. If you look on the side of the one in the game, that top kind of panel there looks like it's also made out of scrap material. Or cut to look that way. They're both way too perfect on both sides for it not to have been planned, right? So to mirror this, I just bent over the black leather where that diagonal cut would be, taped it into place, and then cut away the excess. Leave me with a nice finished fold like we did on the top flap there. Then I simply sewed in another panel of leather underneath it. Super simple, and honestly, it does look cool. I like the design. It's cool. It's such a really cool bag. I love it. Now, before I stick that leather onto the back of the other leather, you know what I mean, I decided I want to put like a pocket in place on the back. You don't ever see the back, but if it's my bag, which it is because I'm making it, I would want a pocket back there. So I just simply cut a pockety shape with the top already kind of folded over and stitched, which will fit right into the middle of that back panel there. Then just as with every other piece, I folded in those edges to make sure it looked clean, and then sewed it to the back, giving me this nifty little pocket here, which I think is a useful little touch. I like that a lot. Speaking of attach other things, there's a real order of operations kind of mind bending you gotta do while you're doing this. Because I didn't want to attach a bunch of things once I had that nice finished fabric on the inside, I didn't want you to see those connection points coming through. It would look messy. So I needed to figure out everything that needed to be attached first before I added the fabric to it. So next up would be the D-rings that actually connect the straps kind of from the back here and over the shoulders. To do that, I just took this like 2-inch strip of leather and folded it in on itself, so it would have a little bit more body to hold this ring. These I figure I can line right up with the line of those pockets to make it look clean, like it's all meant to be there and not at all like I just thought of it last minute and didn't plan on there being a pocket there originally. You just roll with it. It'll look good. I'm fine with it. Before attaching it though, I did sew up those sides and lock in that D-ring. Then I just line them up where they go and I lock them into the whole thing. And you'll notice with these, I'm sewing through the outer leather and the inner leather. This is the part that's gonna hold all of our weight, right? So having that extra structure of that thicker leather underneath is really gonna keep it steady. But yeah, check that out. Those look really good. They look like they're meant to be there. Though, they aren't meant to be there. One specifically, drive myself crazy not paying attention to this crap. The one in the game has that little side strappy that goes under your ribs on the other side. It's on the other side. I've come too far, you can't patch holes in leather, I'm okay with it. And I didn't notice it until I put the fabric on. Drive me crazy. But if you want it to be exactly like the one in the game, put on the other side, live and learn. But cool, with everything all attached the way it is now, I just stuck that fabric where it needs to go. And then once I was happy with how tight it was, I immediately took it to the sewing machine and just sewed around the body before the folds of the side. I did this for a couple of reasons. If I actually went around the edge of everything, remember those are gonna fold in on each other and then get sewn up again, and I didn't want there to be messy like multiple stitch lines that didn't have to be there. But also, if I had everything nice and taut like that and then bent the little arms over, the middle wouldn't be taut anymore, because now you're taking that space and you're going like this, right? Everything would get loose in that middle. Now, no matter what, everything's gonna stay tight in that presenting area there. And then individually with each one of those little arms, I can tighten it up before I sew them into place. Though while I was at that, I did sew this lid into place as well, simply stitching the very back end of it to the back of the bag, and then covering up the transition between the two with this strip on the inside, which I did a terrible job sewing. You see that line? It's like, whoop. I don't know what the hell happened there. Bad. But in general, this is looking pretty cool. To kind of finish with this section of the bag, I turned the whole thing inside out and then just simply sewed those little tabs that I left long right to the insides of the bag there, holding everything together. So that once I turned it inside out, it actually worked. I felt like this was gonna be one of those episodes that's like, I decided to try a new way of doing things, and this is how I failed, don't do it this way. That worked, it worked out, it looks really good. Again, I don't know if it's better than like butting the leather together. I feel like it is because that would have like really sharp points, and I feel like it wasn't that sharp, I don't know. Also, the physics of the thing, when you have two things this way that are trying to bend up, you're gonna have this really like concave type of feeling with the leather, unless you bend those lines, but then you're gonna get some crease lines in your leather, which I didn't like either. So I felt like this was a good way to do it. You leave down in the comment section what you think. But okay, now we have the last little portion of this body of the bag, which is the front. Now in the game, again, you don't see the bag open, so you don't know what's going on there. But I decided to make a decision because you have that little bedroll on it, and I want you to be able to open the bag not all the way up, so if you like turn and somebody else goes to help you rummage through your bag, you just have to open that top flap a little bit, and then you could bend down kind of that section in the front, revealing more pockets and stuff. Basically, I made this thing. It's exactly the same shape of the back of the bag, minus the little arms, cut in half. To which I just sewed either side of that cut line with this leather, giving it a nice little hinge point here, which now gives me two surfaces that I can put some pockets on. The bottom inside surface of this thing, I cut this piece out that has that bent over lip for the top of a pocket, but then also this extra piece right here, which is gonna help lock in this second pocket that I cut out right here. All right, so you see, I sewed them onto either side of this broken panel here, so that when you hinge it open, you have a pocket that would be revealed on the outside, and this internal pocket as well. And then that extra little flap is there, so if you put something in the pocket and then you close it, things don't just pour out of your pocket back into the bag. It helps keep everything within that little pocket assembly there. And after stitching it up and turning it right side out, like, yeah, it totally works. The bag closes and looks like the bag. You can open it up and put this pocket thing down here, get access to those 2 internal pockets as well as the 1 large pocket, making this, I feel, like a pretty useful bag. I like that little design. I'm kind of proud of it. Although I think we could also have put another pocket on the outside, right? We could have put like 2 more stacked pockets. Maybe I can, I'll just add them afterwards. Still cool, I like it. Though the one thing I didn't like was these 2 flaps here kind of at the top. Though they do hold their shape, I just don't feel like they're rigid enough, and over time, I'm afraid they'd start to flare out. I've also made bags in the past that have that little bit of flare, and if it starts to rain or something, it's like little gutters. It goes right into your bag. Not good. So to get around this the laziest way possible, I just kind of punched holes in the very corners of those tabs, to which I push in these little eyelets here. Then after setting them with the appropriate hammer and anvil, I simply put some paracord through it and tied them into shape. So now not only does it give it that rigidity holding its frame so you can close the lid and have it seal up nicely, but you can also just tuck the front of it underneath there and tie it up, giving it an extra seal in case weather comes around. Also, you have a little rope in there to tie knickknacks or keychains to. I don't know, there's a lot of stuff you can do with rope. Okay, so to wrap this up, I needed to make all of the straps. And though I'm not trying to be a super stickler for the way they did it in the game, I did like the look of their straps, and I have no way of doing that. I'm not sure how they do it. Like you see here, it looks like the middle of those straps are made out of the same material as the rest of the bag, but then the outside of it is shiny. I'm not sure how I make that with that kind of perfect shape. I just don't know how. If you know how to do that, leave it in the description. My gut says do it in veg tan instead and kind of like add a layer inside. I don't know, it just feels like extra to me. Anyways, instead what I ended up doing was just cutting strips of the leather that we use so that I can stick them together flesh side to flesh side and then run them through my sewing machine, making some stronger belts that can be used to hold everything together. I then took this material and attached whatever buckles and stuff I needed and attached those to the bag, making these little locking closures in the front here, as well as these 2 loops on the top that act as like the place for your bedroll to be. So what I'm assuming that roll in the top there is a bedroll of some sort. Looks like it to me. And my little wool blanket fits perfectly there too, so yeah, I'm gonna say that's what it's for. It's great. Finally, aside from the 1 buckle and strap attachment that is seen there, there's 1 more that comes over a shoulder and just has this little loop at the end here. This one simply slides onto the other buckle assembly, giving it a nice kind of across the chest attachment point that I actually really like. I have another bag that works this way and it works really well. And check this friggin' little bag out. This little thing came out great. I'm so proud of it. Look at it. It's just a good bag. Like, it's smaller than my usual. I'd say probably more like a purse size if I'm being honest. But it feels like that's the size of it in the game. Like, check it out. Wait, ready? Picture in picture. But with that being said, like this thing, this little flap here kind of makes sense because now with this in the way, if this was against your back or something, you can put it up and then this whole little thing flips on up. But anyways, then I have my pocket, 1 here, 1 here, the big pocket, which actually like can hold a lot. There's a good amount of space here. I got my back pocket. It's comfy on the back, though it would be more so, there looks like there's like a larger strap that this smaller strap goes through. I just didn't have the time or the materials for it, but I can add more to it. Oh, I also need to add in the little lumen catcher, the little lantern that goes on the side. I didn't have enough time for that, guys. That said, again, I don't usually do cosplay. This wasn't meant to be a cosplay thing. This is meant to be just, I liked the look of the bag and I wanted it, so I made it. But you all let me know if you'd like me to try some cosplay stuff at some point in time. Like, you've never shown interest in the past, but I'd happily do it. This was a lot of fun. It's great to have a model to work from. It's cool. Well, I hope you liked this episode. If you did, why don't you give me some of that like it love, and don't forget to subscribe so you know when I release new content. In the meantime, though, keep leveling up, you. You've made it to the end screen. YouTube loves it when you do that. It's a fantastic way to support this channel. Another fantastic way to support this channel is by joining these people's noble ranks. These are our Patreon members, and we could not do it without them. Huge special thanks to our newest high-tier Patreon member, Leviathan. And a giant thanks to our Grandmaster tier Patreon members. Just a Guy from the Southwest, Wild Fox 99, Froggy, Dragon Designs, and Yuri Sashro. Being able to buy the materials for all of this, have the supplies, like I had to go out and buy a bunch of thread that I didn't have, just all of that stuff adds up, and you guys supporting us with Patreon really does make the difference and make it so we can actually keep doing this stuff. All that to say, you guys are the lifeblood of this channel. Thank you so much for everything you do. If you like what we do here and want to support us, consider joining our Patreon, link in the description below. Otherwise, you can click on one of these videos here that YouTube thinks you'd like, and that honestly helps a lot too. All right, I'm actually traveling in like a few minutes, so I'm gonna take my bag on an expedition and see if it works. Wish me luck.